Hey guys, I'm Bruce Spurr, the CEO of Grow Your Center. I'm here with Brett Neller, the CEO of LineLeader. Awesome software company in the childcare space. And guys, they've published this amazing benchmark report called the Early Childhood Education Benchmark Report for 2025. They've been doing this since 2018.
10 plus years, yeah.
Absolutely incredible data in here, honestly, Brett. Like super kudos to the team for having kind of compiled this and gone through. I can imagine the size of the project it is. What I love the most is it helps my team at GYC validate a lot of the stuff that we talk about. We get people who need more help, so it's skewed and biased towards people on kind of the lower end scale of trying to, with more challenges, but it parallels kind of exactly that.
Yeah, it's a ton of good data. Again, 10 years in the making, perfected it, continuously kind of improved the data set and what we're offering to the space. But I think we were talking earlier, there's a difference between sentiment and actual data analytics, right? Some people feel certain things, feel the market is going a certain way, feel their business is trending a certain way, and then you match it against the data and there's sometimes a disconnect.
Right.
So this report helps validate how people are thinking or feeling and whether or not their feelings are legit, or maybe they need to double click down in the business and understand, how their business is performing on a data analytics, marketing analytics level at the same time.
It's funny. It's like when you're running a business, you're gonna want to trust your gut a little bit, but also you got feelings and biases around stuff. You got to figure out what the differences between the two. Yeah. So what I hear you saying is a lot of people are feeling a certain way, but the data is not kind of corroborating.
Yeah, it's either validating their feelings or maybe the other way around. Maybe there is something that I need to look at my business a little bit closer, to understand it a little bit better, and this helps benchmark or guide them on where to look and how to look at their business performance and determine where they need to kind of focus resources going forward.
Right. So what do you think is the biggest takeaway from this?
In general, the market dynamics are interesting, right? There's a ton of public funding questions out there. There's new supply in the space, but I think in general, what the data is telling us is that parents seeking care, so top of funnel, is being spread across more centers.
Right. Meaning
there's fewer leads coming in seeking care, and that those leads you have to hug and cherish and make sure you execute on them flawlessly from an enrollment operations perspective.
Right.
Because the conversion stats at the various journeys from a parent seeking care are relatively stable year over year. So if there's fewer leads coming in, you're going to have fewer kind of registrations, enrollments at the end of the day.
Right.
So I think we're just seeing some demand challenges on a per location or per center level at the top of funnel.
So I love that. That corroborates with one of our philosophies. We kind of have three pillars of what needs to happen in 2025 for our clients. And one of them is a leave no lead behind policy. So we kind of piggyback off that. Leave no child behind. But you have to nurture every single one that are valuable. Like the cost of getting a lead has gone up.
100%.
We find the noise floor just in marketing in general these days has gone up so high that to pop up above it to kind of get attention from a parent who's super busy, inundated with ads. Everybody wants to hit that young parent market, right? Like cars, mortgage specialists, bankers, like everybody wants it. Wants a piece of that, action when you're young parents. And childcare center is just one of those, but it's also a huge expense.
Yeah, and you have to be ready. So if a parent is carved out an hour of their day to go survey the land for childcare centers, you have to be ready to respond as soon as possible.
Right.
You have to make it as easy as possible for them to communicate with you, easy as possible to schedule a tour for your site. 2 hours could mean losing that family's engagement and attention, right? So you need the back office infrastructure, the marketing automation, the value props that differentiate your center. You have to be able to share those immediately with this family seeking care, because if you don't, you're going to lose them.
I couldn't agree more. There's some great quotes here. 80% of millennials are looking for an experience, and if you don't communicate with them kind of immediately in a real time, they're already gone. I used to call it the rule of 5-5-5. If within 5 minutes, your chances of winning is like 50% of getting that lead and actually getting the enrollment. 5 hours, and you're competing against 5 or 6 other competitors. So now you're 1 of 5, and then 5 days, you're dead. There's nothing. It's just, people can constantly complain.
They've already enrolled at another center.
They're enrolled in another center. Or, they're already deciding between the two. They've already toured. They've already toured 3 or 4 options. You're gone, people are busy. They don't want to spend more time on this.
100%.
I think it's what you told me something earlier was great, was basically you got convenience and price. And those are the two biggest motivators for parents. And then if you're comparing convenience and price, like 2 or 3 options, then it's everything else, the extras, the unique selling points, enrichment programs, et cetera, that differentiate you.
And there's obviously qualifiers like safety and compliance, right? And then it goes to convenience and price.
Right.
And as competition increases, there's centers opening up every day. There's hundreds of centers opening up this year, right? In this first quarter, probably.
Well, it's crazy how many people you mentioned want to grow this year.
Everybody's aspiring to add 2 to 3 centers to their portfolio. There's going to be, that's organic. That's like building from the ground up centers. Maybe the space is growing and the demand is growing for children that need, or parents, families seeking care. But it's spread across more supply in the market, and that's not going to change. It's only going to continue to increase. The supply is going to increase. You're going to have more competitive tension, where your value prop becomes even more important. In explaining that efficiently to parents that are spending that 1 hour a day to actually like survey the land and figure out what 3 centers they're going to visit and tour and enroll in.
That's exactly it. That's people come to us at Greater Center sort of looking for, to add leads to their top of funnel. We used to end at getting the lead, and then we kind of leave them alone. But these days we're basically becoming consultants and going, look, you got to go through your whole sales cycle. You got your marketing funnel, your ad funnel, where you get to the lead, convert them into a lead. And now you got to work on your sales funnel, which is getting them on a tour, getting them to show up for the tour. And then on the tour, you got to have an incredible experience laid out for them. Can't have a bad day, that's basically your sales cycle. Yeah. And a lot of people don't want to be salespeople.
I think the organizations that we find are successful in like the enrollment operations or the customer journey mapping exercise is they take as much, when you have scale or whenever you can do that, right? You can take as much of the enrollment journey out of the center.
Yeah.
So the director and the teachers in the classroom, they can focus on what they love doing best, which is taking care of kids, and have them do one thing. And the one thing they can do is execute an amazing tour and show that they have the care, show why they got into the space to begin, which is passion for taking care of children. And if they can do that one thing without maybe doing it, worrying about calling somebody or texting somebody and have that all set up from a marketing automation perspective, all their energy can go into to crushing that tour and making sure that the family stays and they don't leave the doors without signing the registration paperwork.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as they walk out the door, chance of winning goes down exponentially.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So hook them while you got them.
Exactly.
That's why we try and close all our deals. For first call or second call. By third call, it's usually dead. It's really interesting because the data that you guys collected, and this is data. This is not like when we're looking at kind of conversion success, new lead to tour scheduled. That's data. Where some of the other components of the study are those feelings you're talking about of people's kind of sentiment around things. So when I look at the data, it's super clear that leads are down. And if leads are down by 4 or 5%, you basically that's it doesn't sound like a lot. On the front side, but man, it cascades down the entire funnel.
Yeah, especially if you're talking on a quarterly basis, right? You're registering 1 or 2 fewer children every quarter, and if you multiply the lifetime value of that child across your 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 centers, I mean that's a ton of profitability that you're
millions, millions of dollars.
Yeah. Which is, I think it's interesting. Everybody. Childcare centers are amazing people, so important to the fabric of the communities they serve.
I love our clients.
But at the same time, that like we always like no money, no mission. It's hard to talk about children as a funnel or a profit center or selling care and hitting growth, like hitting your profit margins. But you have to do it. You have to talk like that. You have to structure your business in a way that's going to be successful long term, and it's okay to talk about those types of things. And that's where like you guys 100%. Help out a ton in helping them realize the value and understanding what lifetime value of a child is, why funnel, like why managing your funnel is so important, why spending money on organic search, SEO, pay-per-click to get more leads to come in families seeking care at your center is like, it's real stuff. I mean,
it's the language of business, right? And you're running a business.
Yep.
And as you said, I love that. How'd you say it? No profit, no mission?
No money, no mission.
No money, no mission. I love that. That's pretty cool.
That's I think, Lisa Henkel been with our company for a long time. She was the operator for a long time before she came over to the software side. And, she gets it, right? And it's hard to communicate that. It's like not always a comfortable conversation when you're talking about children and care, and making money, but you gotta no money, no mission.
Let's
keep the doors open.
I find I've been doing this for a while now. What is it, like 7-8 years now? And what I find interesting is that especially independents, they make a ton of money. Finally, they get at 70% full, they got a job that's reasonably well paid. At 80%, they're doing okay. At 100% full, it's almost pure profit at that point. And all of a sudden, they have $500,000, $1 million extra in the bank. They're like, they've never had before. You know where they put most of that money? Back in the center. It's like, what can I do for the kids? What can I do for the teachers? What can I do for the parents? Like, all of a sudden there's a $300,000 brand new playground. The whole place is renovated. It's like, it's amazing that it's true. No money, no mission. And their mission is childcare and providing the best care. Can't tell you how many times the story is always when we get on a call with a client, I couldn't find great quality care that I really liked. And so I started my own. That's probably 60-70% of the use cases that we see. And then that's the independents, and then moves up into kind of the mid-market and then the enterprise market. A little bit different sometimes, but sometimes the same. They have some sort of history or background or appreciation for care that drives them. Because they could have bought a gas station, or a convenience store, something a lot easier than childcare.
For sure.
I don't think anyone goes into the childcare business just for profits.
No, it's a mission-based business. That's why I love working in it. That's why you like working in it. It's the people we get to work with on a daily basis are amazing. I got kids, you have kids. Like we've used childcare before. My wife and I couldn't work without childcare, right?
Agreed.
And we couldn't pursue our professional passions without entrusting our kids to our childcare center every day, so that they are, developed, taught. Curriculum is important, safety is important, high quality is important, and we're willing to pay for it because we know it's for the benefit of them. More so than the benefit of us.
It's amazing how much data there is for academic success, future success, and where they started. For a while there, Montessori was such a big thing because the founders of Google and a bunch of other big companies all were kind of Montessori preschooled and then sometimes into the elementary programs. But that initial start is so important. I read something, it was like 80% of the brain synapses are formed in the first 4 years. So I remember I was doing this research for second language clients and what the advantages are. And even if they don't continue with the second language, just the synapses that get fired by listening to both whether the two languages, English and Spanish, let's say, as they're growing, even if they don't speak it at home, but to speak it and learn it at the center, and they never do it again. When they get into middle school kind of age, they can tell the difference. And it's like task switching is a huge thing. Just like the speed of thought, be able to hold two thoughts, and cognitive retention for reading comprehension was another stat that went up. One thing I find interesting about the entire funnel from lead to registration, and it looks like really good. Average is about 30% conversion. 40% is great. 20% you're not doing so hot. You're kind of missing out. And that's kind of averaged out. Like there's walk-ins and word of mouth and referrals from your sister-in-law, stuff like that are going to convert at like 95%. And then there's going to be cold ads going to convert at 15%. But overall, what I find interesting is that 1% drop in that overall conversion rate at the end means you got to do 5x more leads. So if you're losing just 1% less, you got to do 5% more on the lead front. It's 5-to-1 ratio. And I don't think people get that. Like that's why that tour and leaving no lead behind is so important. The data speaks for itself. Like you got to do 5x more to come. You lose one at the registration, you got to do 5 more leads to make up for it.
It's really like you got to know what channels are working for you, right? And then understanding how to amplify those channels.
Right.
And if you're not dialed in on where your leads are coming from or where you're spending your money, you could be throwing your money at a lost cause versus redirecting it to like a new channel. So if you get a ton through organic search or you get it through Facebook, or you have to understand the data around where you're going to invest those dollars because those leads are so important. And you need to amplify the channels that are working.
Right.
I think that's where it starts. The second part of that is, as you look at the journey of the parent seeking care, it should be special and tailored to demonstrate the value prop of your center, but also demonstrate to the family seeking care that this is the right place for them to send their kids. Like the tour is so important, right? And we talk about that a lot. One, you have to make it easy for them to tour and schedule the tour and come in, and you have to be super responsive and make sure you're grabbing their attention at the gate. But if a family walks in and you have dialed in your tour and you've walked it with your center director, whoever's executing on it, you have your talking points, you have your script. The teachers in the classroom know to say hello, and smile, and smile. You are gonna already be better than 50% of the competition out there, right?
That's
You
it.
just have to show you care. Your team has to be aligned. They have to know how important that tour is to the success of their future career at that center, right? And it's sometimes an afterthought, right? It's like, oh, we're gonna get in the door. It's a crazy day, and the teachers aren't aligned. They're not smiling. They're not paying attention as families are walking through. And if you can dial in that tour from an enrollment operations perspective, you're going to execute and probably set yourself above the competition. One, getting noticed out the gate, right? Then two, being super responsive. And then three, knowing your value prop and executing the tour. You should audit your customer journey.
Correct.
And really, and from each part of the engagement with the family, what are you doing and what makes you special versus the competition?
And we call it the value alignment. It's got to be from ad to website to, pick up the phone and call you, all the emails, text messages they receive, the automation they receive, walk in the door, the greeting, the tour, the call to action, what they leave you behind with, what they hand you. Like we did a mystery shop on a center, and they handed a brochure at the end, like this 3-4 page booklet, and half the stuff in that booklet, first of all, there's full of typos and grammar errors, but the other half the stuff was like contradicted some of the things they said on the tour and some of the things that we were saying on the website. It was bizarre. And I'm like, you can't have that disconnect between things anymore. People used to overlook it and be like, oh, I'll I'm not going to read this anymore. But I think people are onto that. And one little mistake, you're out. It's that swipe left generation of like instant.
It's no different than like when you're applying for a job and you have a misspelling in your resume, right? Like the employer is going to be turned off from you. It's no different when a parent is coming into a center, and if your collateral doesn't align with what the teachers or the director just showed on the tour or said on the tour, or their misspellings, you're going to lose credibility. So the details are really, really important, and the polish around your brand and what you're representing and what you're offering to the family have to be really spot on.
Yeah, totally. I mean, couldn't agree more. You got to get all those ducks in a row. And use an analogy from the childcare space.
There you
go. Let's see. I've got here's one of my favorite stats is you got web leads are 9 times more likely to engage with you if you follow up within 5 minutes. I mean, we talked about that a little bit already, but that's crazy. That's 10 times more almost, right?
And that's really the foundation around like why our founder Chuck Gibbs started the business, right? He did all the secret shopping back in the day, and it's crazy to think about that. There's still those same issues today where people are still not getting called back in a timely fashion. There's centers that don't have a CRM in place to be able to execute, the 9 times more likely to respond if you respond to them in a couple minutes. That's really the genesis for LineLeader CRM platform is instant automated responses to keep them engaged so that they don't go Google and go down to the 5th center on their list. They say, oh, I got an answer already from center number 1 or number 2 on my list.
There's a great quote here from Julie Roy, who is our 3rd client ever.
Love Julie, she's awesome.
Yeah, she's honestly, I've never met somebody who we get on a call and I tell her like, look, this is what's going on. This is what we need to do. This is what we're going to do. But I need you to do these things or else it's not going to work. Like I can only go so far. And then 100% of the time she gets it done in the next hour. Like she's the best implementer I've ever seen on the planet. But anyway, there's a great quote that says, we became known as a center who will call you back. Like I was like, that's a low-hanging fruit, man. Like that's so simple. That's so simple.
I was at a conference, one of my first conferences. I interacted with Julie, and she's so serious about her business, right? And being the best. And details were really important to her. She would implement recommendations.
Yeah.
And she always, something she said stuck with me. She's like, hey, we use your platform and organizations like Grow Your Center because we don't want to just run our business. We want to grow our business, right? And there's a difference between just going through the motions and running your business, and that's fine. That's what works for some people.
Yep.
But if you want to grow your business,
Yep.
That's where you need to leverage some services like yours, leverage a CRM platform like ours. Because at the end of the day, I think everybody wants to end up growing, right? And
Absolutely.
the hyper competitive now in the childcare space, and
Yep.
those things are really, really gonna move the needle for you and set you, for a growth path that everybody wants and desires to meet.
I couldn't agree more. When Julie came to us, she had 6 centers, and it looked like she was acquiring 2 more. And I was, within 3 years, she had 10.
Yeah,
and,
she killed it.
Yeah, totally killed it. Oh, one stat that was interesting that we derived from our data that corresponds a little bit from your survey data is we looked at 2023. We had throughout the year, an increase in lead flow, which is, is dialing in more and more and more. 2024, it was the opposite. Q4 especially, it was so many things changed in the online digital space, especially with Google.
Still changing.
Google, still all the time. That's, I guess, why people hire us, because just to keep up with with all the modifications and changes in the ad supply and media buying and what the ad's supposed to look like and governance. One thing we found was really interesting, though. One thing we're amazing at is deriving people's unique selling points and what makes them unique. And we have a pretty thorough exercise. It's what we started with, actually. It was one of the first things, was trying to pluck out of them. Because you get to them and like, what makes you unique? They're like, well, we're not sure, And when we sat down and kind of organized it, we found there's about 50 different unique selling points in the industry. Everything from curriculum to teacher tenure, to how long they've been in business, the amount of reviews they have, awards they've won, all that kind of stuff, right? Because their curriculum, obviously. Yeah. And but there was one thing when we looked at our 2024 data, when we saw those were still quite successful in the top 25% of our performance, and then we compared them to the bottom 25%, the ones that weren't doing well and were struggling a lot. The biggest and the heaviest correlation we could find is that 77% of our winners had experiences as part of the curriculum, part of the program, and 3% of the lowest performers did. I thought that was fascinating. And experiences was things like, they would certain enrichment programs, but also just even outside of those, they would bring in folks, or they would go out on field trips to a museum or to a local elderly home or something to do some care there. And there's lots of different things that different people did. There was, every state is a little different in their licensing requirements and transport and all that stuff. They'd bring a lot of people in with reptiles and things that kids could engage in, cooking opportunities. I remember we had a whole series of photos of them baking cupcakes, and they brought in, all this gear and this external supplier to do all that. It was amazing. First of all, the photo ops were incredible, which is great for marketing. But just the experiences alone, I think were of value. And I think it's what parents are looking for these days. I think they're looking to put children, they're paying so much for childcare. If you have 2 kids and are both in childcare at the same time, dude, that's 2 Mercedes leases,
It's expensive.
And so they're looking for what the value proposition is for their dollars.
And I think centers should highlight those more often. And I think they don't think about it. They don't think it's special, but it actually is really special.
Right. I think that's a part of the challenge, is that for them, it's a routine. It's just a thing that they do because it's awesome. And meanwhile, when you pluck it out from a marketing perspective and you highlight it, it can be we call it a tip of the spear for marketing. It's people are scrolling, they're seeing thousands and thousands of things daily. What's going to make them stop and pay attention? And apples to apples comparison are things like, curriculum and teacher tenure. Those things used to be differentiators because nobody else was talking about them. Today, everybody's talking about
them. Air conditioning in a car. You gotta have it, right?
Yeah, so seatbelts, even more, right? It's minimum safety standards, right? Depends on where you are. But some of those things are kind of by default now.
Every center has a calendar, right? And they have it on their PDF, or they have it on their billboard when you walk in. And they don't, I mean, I think that like there's a ton of things they take for granted on that calendar that they do every single year. That are really special moments for the kids, whether it's Father's Day or Mother's Day, and the parents get to come in and interact with the kid. And the number of times like I've gotten to go in the center and read a book with my kid or, you know, go to a Father's Day donut and coffee thing, like that stuff is special, and centers need to highlight that a little bit more. I think they have these calendar and these rituals and culture and routines within their center, and if they could share those a little bit more, I think those are key differentiators when making parents making decisions for care.
I love that. Actually, I just made a note that we're gonna. There's some opportunities there, I think, for unique advertising just built into that calendar. As sometimes it's hard for them to remember, but I think if we just ask them for that may be.
I guarantee they already have it. It ends up being a community. It's not just a place to drop off your kids. It ends up being the number of birthday parties and play dates that you have to go to or you go to based on the families that you meet at the childcare center. It becomes like a little community, and if you shared that community aspect of your childcare center, I think it's definitely part of your value prop.
Yeah, I totally agree, and got to do it before everyone starts doing it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of what makes it unique. I mean, that's where the value of someone like Grow Your Center comes in, where we'll get it done for you a lot faster and execute on that a lot quicker.
Speed to market on that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what's, tell me a little bit more about, LineLeader is more than CRM. We knew it as Childcare CRM. It became LineLeader.
Yeah, it's been interesting, right? So again, founders, Chuck Gibbs, Seth Martin, 10 plus years ago started, saw a need in the space. They'd worked in the management system space for a while, and there was a lot of those, right? There was no CRM dedicated just to the vertical of childcare. Right.
Which is kind of unique, like because there's hundreds of CRMs out there, but people forget that there's that parent-child relationship where the child is what you're looking to sell, and the parent is a buffer or whatever, the decision maker.
Yeah, and there's a family that could have 3 kids.
Correct.
And they could be 3 different opportunities.
Right?
Yeah. So there are nuances to the childcare space that are horizontal CRMs don't work. Right. Or they work, but they're not great for running and growing your business. Right. So 10 years in the making, and they grew a really nice business, and along the way we added on some platforms. Right. We have a digital enrollment solution, so all your paper forms we can put online for you digital.
Cool.
Parents fill those out. I think we see on average like between 7 and 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So if you don't have them online, you're probably making it more difficult for families to register without offering a digital online packet. So we offer that. And then, over time we've done a couple add-ons, right? So we have a really nice management system and family engagement app offering.
Okay.
And the thesis for us was like, how do we create a unified tech stack so a center operator can log into one platform and manage their entire business, from a parent seeking care all the way through re-registration, re-enrollment, and be able to communicate them at all parts of that journey. And that's what we've done. Listen, we're not perfect. We strive for excellence, and we have a lot. We're continuously improving on a daily basis.
Right.
But we're well on the way to creating this beautiful unified tech stack, so that you have one login, you can manage your business in one place. You have one service provider that can offer you the data and analytics around how to fine tune your business so that you can grow your portfolio.
That's amazing. I love that. Single sign on, get everything done from A to Z. Can this is for my knowledge, because I actually don't know. Do you guys do payment solutions so you can take? Parents can pay a lot of different ways, and
so we have the mobile application where a parent can enter their method of payment. Our management system has auto pay, required auto pay, which is a big one. Auto invoicing. There's no button you have to click. You set it and forget it. You set your billing plan. The auto invoicing runs every single, whatever, monthly, weekly, whatever you have it, daily, and then auto pay automatically runs. So you're not chasing down parents to get another method of payment or getting some authorization form, like old school authorization form, where then you have to take that and enter it into your platform, and then you have to hit a button every day for the payments to run. It just works. Right. And so if a parent doesn't have, if a credit card is expired or their ACH is out of date, get notified on their engagement app, and they can update it, right?
Okay, cool.
So you're not trying to catch them when they're walking in the door to get the authorization form.
Right,
It's
right.
all mobile and digital, right? So
Love
it's
that.
that's kind of unique to, I mean, shouldn't be unique, but it's kind of unique to our platform in the space, is
That's-
the auto
wow.
invoicing, auto pay.
Yeah.
We also offer,
That's so convenient. Like, I mean, just one less
Seems
thing,
logical,
one less
right?
thing. Yeah, very logical.
yeah. So we do the payment side of the house. We also have a really unique layer on top of our management system for before or after school enrichment program offerings.
Okay.
So if you are offering a summer camp, you're offering before and after school care, and we have a
Or
registration.
like an add-on enrichment thing.
Add-on, we
Okay.
have a layer on top that allows
Okay.
a parent to walk through the registration journey on their own. So
Would
we call
this
it
work?
parent-led
Would this work
registration.
for companies that are not just childcare centers, but
Yeah.
who are doing just like
100%.
swim schools and gymnastics centers?
100%.
Yeah?
So
Cool.
we do have customers that are non-traditional ECE. We have ECE operators that do it because there's a lot of those
Correct.
that do run before and
Yep.
after school programs.
Yep.
But we also have others that offer enrichment programs. It could be theater classes, it could be
Right.
chess classes, it could be swim schools, and the CRM works for that as well.
Awesome.
And you couple the CRM with this registration kind of journey for the family, and again, it's all self-service. So a parent can register online and follow your class schedule, see what availability is, enrollment caps,
Love
everything,
that.
and fill
That's
out the
amazing.
paperwork. And
Yeah.
so it's we've evolved a little bit into that. We'll call it enrichment space,
Okay.
because we see early childhood education operators leveraging their space and their buildings for those types of services. It's just another thing we can give them to help them grow their business.
I love that. And I mean, back to the platform. What about staff, payroll, managing staff, check-ins, time
So
scheduling?
we do everything. We're not a payroll company, so
Right.
we integrate with various payroll service providers, but we do time and attendance, we do staff time clocks. We capture everything. We're not an HR system,
Right.
so we'll integrate with HR systems, but we do everything you need to run your center, and then we let professionals who know how to.
Right.
We integrate.
You're
with
not
payroll.
accounting software.
No, we
so you
integrate-
got your QuickBooks, you got your ADP, Gusto.
We'll
kind of
integrate with all those,
HR,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we'll integrate with payroll systems. We'll
Cool.
integrate with accounting systems.
Right.
We feed the ERP data into those platforms
Right,
for them
right.
to handle the back office stuff, because that's what they're
Right.
special at. And that's kind of agnostic to childcare, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
QuickBooks,
exactly. You can use
payroll,
anyone.
you can use
Exactly.
anyone, so.
Exactly. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, like, what makes you guys unique in the marketplace,
Yeah.
relative to some of your competitors?
Yeah, I think for us, when we look at where we sit, there's I respect a lot of the tech vendors out there and service providers. I think for us, when we look at what differentiates, like if you want, again, I continue to say this, if you want to grow your center or grow your portfolio, we're the platform for you. We have the data analytics, we have the reporting suite. We work with operators. We have the history of working with large operators that are very sophisticated in how they use the data and how they run their business. And we have visibility into some of the best practices across the globe.
Right.
So if you're an operationally focused child care provider, we're the platform for you.
Awesome.
You're not going to get the data and the reporting suite and the unified tech stack with the amount of sophistication you need to run your business
Right.
and grow it. That's where we
Shine.
excel.
Yeah. That's how I used to say, if you want data, go to LineLeader.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a great, I love that. And it's getting easier and easier to understand those reports and pull them out and figure out what they're actually saying. I mean, there's one thing about seeing the data, it's another thing about interpreting the data.
100%.
And figure out how to turn that into insight. I mean, that's part of what we do at GYC. It's not on the accounting side, but certainly on the marketing and enrollment side. We help our clients figure out exactly what does the data mean. Get this many leads, this many tours, this many conversion rate. Is that good? Is that bad? How do we improve it? Where are the bottlenecks?
And that data can be intimidating, right?
Cool.
If you're
Very
looking
much
at,
so, yeah.
if you're a 2-center, 3-center,
Yep.
5-center, and you're just now getting into that,
Correct.
you all are a great option and service for helping them dissect that
Yeah.
and fine tune
Yeah.
and really amplify where they need to allocate the resource, because every dollar counts.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about some of the kind of non-ECE prospects or opportunities out there. Like
Yeah.
we're looking at some swim schools and
Sure.
some, there's other programs out there. How do you guys kind of work with them? What's unique about them that's interesting?
It's new to us, right? Like we will always focus on the ECE industry as our core business, but they're starting to bleed together a little bit, right? The enrichment programs and before and after school programs and early childhood education centers. We see the same opportunity in these adjacent markets as we see in childcare, right? There's disjointed systems. There's folks that there's money investment going into these spaces where they're required now to dial up their operation,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And become more sophisticated. They
Yep.
need the data.
Yep.
And the platforms they have just don't offer that.
Yep.
Like they were platforms good for running their business, not for
Right.
growing their business. We're seeing the opportunity where we can actually help them grow their business, where they can have good visibility across their portfolio.
Right.
Be
While
able
giving
to
the operators on the ground
yeah,
the data they need to
while giving the
operationalize.
operators, give them enough to do to do what they do best. And then at a corporate or shared service level, truly understand the mechanics of what makes your business go.
Right.
So I think that's no different than any business right out there, but especially in the care industry,
Yeah.
it's a little bit, the systems out there are a little bit antiquated, right? And we see the opportunity across all these folks and all these businesses that are caring for children in some capacity to leverage a CRM that is specific to a child-family relationship and connect that with a back office ERP system, which we offer as well, which has a child-family relationship.
Right.
And there is a lot of uniqueness to just care for kids in general.
Right.
In these adjacent spaces like swim schools, coding classes, whatever it may be.
Right. STEM, robotics, all that
They
stuff.
all follow a similar model.
Right.
It's like there's a family seeking some sort of care or enrichment activity. There is potentially a tour.
Right.
Then there is a registration aspect. Then there is a billing aspect.
Yep.
You have staff.
Yep.
And
So parent engagement.
family engagement.
Yep.
That the parent wants to know they dropped their kid off, that they were checked in, and they want to see pictures
Correct.
of what they're paying for,
Yep.
right? And it allows these service providers to up level their brand and the value they're providing, because now they can engage with the families, saying, "Oh, this is Johnny playing chess, or
Yep.
this is Johnny at
Yep.
dance class."
Yeah.
And
Just swam a lap. All on
like
its
so
own.
it's there's this engagement aspect that's becoming more and more important for families as well, that we feel like our platform also serves.
Yeah, it's both in the enrichment space and after school programs and these kind of adjacent markets, as well as the ECE space. We're finding a lot of our clients are dedicating somebody for parent engagement.
Yeah.
Like a coordinator that goes around, takes the shots, updates the program, so teachers can focus on what they're doing. It becomes a lot. Like a teacher has to focus on the children, especially younger ones, and managing a class, and while trying to take shoot. And some of them can do it. Others, it's a little bit more of a distraction. So somebody wandering around, actually, the value proposition of that role felt like, okay, well, it's cutting into profit margins, and it's, adding another staff solution, which is expensive these days. But the engagement on the parent side is huge when it comes to retention, referrals.
Yeah.
You get the marketing, imagery and videos that we constantly are craving. I mean, the one biggest challenge, like, look, clients, if you can give us better pictures and videos, I promise you can get 5x better ads.
Yeah.
It's the biggest kind of obstacle to getting what we need from them. But yeah, so that feels like the right way to go. I love your app does that.
Yeah, we're exploring it, right? And we're trying to see what works and what doesn't work, and fine tuning some stuff. But I think where we're doing something really special is around this parent-led registration journey.
Okay.
Right? And it's where a parent doesn't want to go into any brick and mortar, right?
Right.
They want to do everything online. They don't want to talk to anybody.
Right.
And they're going to register their kid at
Gen Zs.
they're going to register their kid at 9:00 for some sort of enrichment activity. I do that too. My wife does it too, right? And it's like, how do you make that very seamless and easy from an online experience, and remove all the paperwork and create this digital, registration journey for them, and it's an interesting space. So we'll keep exploring it.
One thing that was really interesting in a conversation with one of your team members was we're looking at combining kind of forces together from the advertising, marketing, kind of done for you, done with you solutions, and then the software to kind of enable the tracking and then the back office management. And we're looking at kind of combining opportunities, because a lot of the time people buy a CRM, buy the software, and they think this is going to help them increase their enrollment, get more leads. So they put it on their website and then something. And then, but because it's only part of the solution, the enterprise solution, you got to drive traffic to it. And then you got to, have a website experience that actually resonates with your audience. And so that's a kind of that 1-2 punch combination of trying to knock it out of the park on behalf of our clients. So one of the reasons we kind of partnered together was to bring to market that opportunity for folks. And it's not like, they're mutually exclusive offerings, but together they offer far more.
Yeah, it's so there's sometimes this misconception that a CRM is going to fill up your center, right? And we look at the CRM as the engine around filling up your center, but you still need the fuel, right? The fuel are the leads. You provide the fuel, you provide the engine to help nurture those leads to registration. And you can't have one without the other. You have to have some sort of marketing strategy. You have to have some sort of SEO, pay-per-click, outbound strategy. You need to get leads into the CRM. So if you don't have that in-house, you're Grow Your Center is an awesome opportunity to amplify that, right? Maybe you're doing it, by yourself as an owner or operator. I guarantee you're missing something if you're doing it by yourself and you're trying to take it all on, right? So leveraging Grow Your Center to help with the marketing strategy around those elements to drive inbound demand is a no-brainer for me, right? And I think for us, as many leads as we can get in the system to help kind of nurture them to registration, the better. And it helps validate actually all the work that you all do, right? Then you can actually 100%. see and confirm that the lead that you help generate converted. Right. So I think they're super complementary. And they're not mutually exclusive, but definitely more powerful together.
Agreed. Swim school example. What we found, even with larger organizations, we found the operators on the ground, or ECE as well, actually, it's true for them too. But more recently, it was a discussion with several hundred location, and corporate seems to be very focused on growth, which makes sense, right? It's a very popular thing, like drive the demand while the demand's there. And but operators on the ground get kind of lost in the milieu of trying to operate the business. So they're trying to conduct the classes and work on the on the business on the ground, staff, scheduling, enrollment, registration, all that stuff. But sometimes conversion, that lead nurturing, getting more leads in the door, maximizing the opportunity for every center, every location. Starts becoming the operator on the ground's responsibility. And then the regional, there's a regional management system and then a corporate management system, and there's like hierarchy of information. What I loved about the conversation with your team was how LineLeader supports the operator with kind of go-to-market strategies, what's working, what isn't, can work with an operator like us and go, this is what's happening. Then on the regional level, they can see what's happening regionally 100%. And drill down to an individual location, do comparisons, see where the data flow is happening. And then from a corporate, again, it's like that, big picture, what's happening with the whole business. And I absolutely love that your software can handle every level of that. You can go from enterprise to regional to individual locations. That's cool.
Yeah, if it's easy to look at a business at any business at like an aggregate level, right? And it's the money coming in the bank from all the different sites, right? But you don't maybe know what you're missing if there's one center that is suffering at conversion. You have one center that is absolutely crushing it, right? Their conversions are crazy. Like, why are they doing better than the center down the road in your portfolio? Without the data, and our system allows you to see the data from both centers and start to understand at what stage in the journey maybe they're falling off. And then go to the one center that is absolutely crushing it. Understand what they're doing different than this center and implement best practices across your portfolio. So that. We take a lot of pride in being able to surface those type of elements across your operation to make sure that your portfolio is performing firing on all cylinders across your portfolio.
Right.
The one thing I think you mentioned too is interesting is like you have these organizations that are trying to grow, and growth for them is more buildings or more centers, right? And really, there's this element maybe they forget at the center level where it's like maximizing like enrollment space utilization, right? For how many seats they're filling up. Our system allows you to do both, right? It allows you to fill up, maximize the potential of an existing center while also figuring out where you want to expand.
I love that.
So it does both.
Yeah, that's which is what you want.
Yeah.
You want to bottom up and top down, and you want to achieve both those goals at the same time, which are synergistic. I mean, I love that. When we work with a lot of franchisees, especially, there's a different relationship because the franchisee is kind of like they're a business owner buying a blueprint, and working within a mandate and supported by a larger brand. And we find that really interesting. It's a successful model for us because our model works directly with the operators on the ground. So if that's the owners, the directors, if it's a regional officer for a number of locations, or a franchise owner for one or more locations, but we find marketing for childcare is successful when you're geolocalizing it. Yeah. Because as you said, there's they can have the same two owners, two centers, two different towns, and one is booming, the other one's busting, and what's happening. Yeah. So it's really, we find it's got to be bottom up from a marketing standpoint, but data, you got to go from top down, drill down, come from bottom up, meet in the middle.
And the franchise corporate wants both centers to be successful.
Correct.
Because the more money they make,
correct,
the more the franchise corporate structure makes as well.
Correct.
So if they can help that center be successful by knowing what this other owner did really, really well, and knowing what they're doing different from
likely used UIC, but
and LineLeader. But it's powerful information. They need to make all owners successful. The uniqueness outside of our data is like we have a tightly coupled family engagement app with our management system. So like a lot of the providers out there don't have both. Yeah. You have to buy like an engagement app, and then you have a management system, especially old school. Some of the old school tech out there. Yeah. We offer, you get one with the other with payments. Like there's no like decoupling those.
I love that.
You don't have to use all aspects of that suite. But you get them.
So you can pick and choose what you want?
You can pick and choose what you want, but like you get everything.
Yeah.
So like we're not going to necessarily change the price.
Right.
So you buy it, and then at your comfort level, roll it out. So you could roll out engagement first.
Right.
And you could roll out.
That's awesome for people who need to transition. That makes it a lot easier. That's awesome.
You got to get the accountants comfortable with the billing aspect.
Right.
And then you can slow roll billing out. Right. So it's best of breed or best of suite. We offer modular as well as like off the shelf full suite if you're interested.
Awesome.
And then you move at your pace.
Cool. I love that. Love that a lot, actually.
One of the really unique things about LineLeader is within our Enroll platform is our centralized enrollment team. What that means is as you get to a certain scale, is how can you pull the enrollment operations piece as much out of the center as possible, so that they can focus on what they do best. And what that does is it's essentially setting up a team that takes all your inbound calls from all the parents.
Okay, like a call center.
Like a call center shared service across your portfolio of centers. So we have a module within the Enroll platform that allows you to do that. Gives you visibility on rates across all your centers. It helps you, there's a mapping feature where it helps a parent map their journey from their home to work, and shows you all your centers along the way.
Dude, that's
amazing.
amazing.
Shows you availability in those centers, shows you the rate, shows you the value prop. So the centralized enrollment team ends up being the selling the value proposition of the family and a centralized administrative function.
That's
so
incredible.
The director or the owner, the director on site, the one thing they do is execute the tour.
Right.
Everything else is handled by the centralized enrollment team. So that's something really unique that we offer that at scale operators generally utilize, because shared services ends up making a ton of sense when you get to 10 centers.
How regional does that need to be more successful? Like if you're in Atlanta, do you have somebody in New Jersey with a New Jersey accent, or do you want someone more neutral, or do you want kind of operators managing a regionally?
I think it's generally isolated to like one region, right? I don't think they have they could have centers all across the United States.
Right.
I think as long as the people on the phone know the business,
Right.
know your offering, know the value prop, and it's spelled out and scripted within our centralized enrollment module, they find it to be really, really successful.
Is it just phone audio? Is there video call opportunity?
No video right now. It's a good idea. But no, all phone. All call.
That will increase conversion rate astronomically.
Yeah, call recording, so you can go back and review the calls that the center operator, the centralized enrollment team had for coaching opportunities. So it's once you get to a certain size, it makes a ton of sense to pull enrollment operations out of the center. Let them focus on what they do best, and then have your sellers or those that are demonstrating your value prop centralized, and you can actually manage it centrally. So consistency across your 20, 25 centers, all managed by 1 to 2 people.
I absolutely love that. What I love what size organization do you have to be to kind of take advantage of that from your experience?
It depends. Like we have folks that are sub 10 centers that use it, and they have one person. That person called out sick. It's not necessarily good. No
backup.
But generally, when you get to 10 or more, it starts to makes a ton of sense. Because one, you're capturing those leads right away. If they're calling in, they're getting answered. The phones are getting answered. Yeah, which is huge. And they're again, they have visibility across availability across all their sites. They know the value prop across all the sites. They know, they can map it for the path to work for the parent on real time on the phone, and be able to sell. Maybe a family's looking at one center. They don't even know there's another center with the same brand, a mile away. They can then offer that center because they have availability, or the rates are maybe a little bit less, right? So
or more convenient.
They didn't even realize it. So it's once you get to 10 centers or more, we think it makes a ton of sense. And centralized enrollment operations is really, really successful if done right, executed right. We help a ton of folks, organizations set that up.
That's amazing. What happens when they, I guess it's a singular phone number is published everywhere locally? Do you guys use localized numbers?
So we have, you can get your own number. We have telephony, right? So you can get your own number, dedicated number. So it doesn't go to a pool of numbers. It can all be routed in. We connect with a lot of call center software, actually. We've done 2 or 3 integrations with those for a couple different organizations. And it's been really, really successful for those that are larger and looking to grow. Are
the operators able to send out like emails and text messages?
Yeah, anything. So it's like anything within the CRM. They'll create the family profile, create the lead,
book the tour right
there on the phone, and send all the follow up and everything. Again, nothing has to happen at the center. It can all happen centrally between a group of enrollment specialists. And it's a really efficient way to make sure that no lead is left behind or lost, and all phone calls are answered when they're making if they're making those calls. So
that's amazing. I love that. I more than once, let me tell you, I thought about GYC opening a call center to pull, so we can have. And the biggest logistical hurdle has always been, how do we, say 20 different clients, each owns 1 or 2 or 3 centers. How are we going to be able to flip between the unique selling points and naming convention, the call numbers, and just making sure somebody's sharp on point. He's not picking up the phone and saying, Acme Childcare versus, Rainbow Room. It's like,
we can probably help you execute that. That's it.
Well, honestly, if I had to help our clients in some meaningful way, that would be probably one of the top priorities because, like I said, we get leads in. It's a question of then managing those leads and making that phone call in the next 5 minutes, or answering the phone in the first place. I can't tell you how many mystery shops we do when the person picks up the phone. They're like, "Hey, what? Just give me a second." And it's like, "What?" Like you don't even not a name, not a hello, nothing. It's like, "What do you want?" What do you want? What do you need? How can I, not even how can I help you? Or hi.
Their days are crazy, and if you can pull that off of their plate,
it'd be huge,
responsibility wise, and centralize and have quality control around it.
Correct. All the calls recorded.
It'd be a different differentiator and game changer for those that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, I love that idea. All right, thanks, Brett. It was awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, it's I think everybody learned something. I learned a bunch of it.
It's good. Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks, man.